I'm going to need a little bit of help from y'all. Is that okay? So, there's this question. You might be familiar with it. What's a fellow? Have y'all heard that before? Okay, so I'm going to need your help. When I point to you all, I want you all to say back to me, so Ryan, what is a fellow? Okay, we're going to practice.
So Ryan, what is a fellow?
All right, good. This is going to be wonderful. All right. Now I'm going to start. Regis, we good? Cool.
So Ryan, what is a fellow?
Wow, glad you asked. It's probably a question each of you are very familiar with. What's more interesting is the response you'll probably get from your friends and family and parents when they're asked. Oh yeah, it's that Young Life thing. Oh yeah, isn't it that secret society? Oh yeah, the fellows. You mean the urban monks downtown? For some reason, the concept of the fellows program is confusing to the world. We're having a conference about it this weekend. It's obviously a pretty dense subject. Our friends, parents, and coworkers, even spouses, may never completely understand, but I'm here to tell you today it's okay. Well, the question was?
So Ryan, what is a fellow?
Thank you. A fellow is a stranger that is loved. A fellow is a brother or a sister you never knew you wanted. A fellow is a deep-fried onion. And a fellow will always be a fellow. My fellow's journey began 10 years ago. 10 years ago. It's amazing. 10 years ago, a man stepped into my life and changed its course forever. It was the summer of 2004, between my freshman and sophomore year of high school. I had my first job moving furniture at my brother's godfather's art gallery. My back has never been the same since. I had a brand new Nokia color, I looked this up last night, 6220 preloaded with classic hits like Snake and Tetris. Life was good. I was on the freshman basketball team the year before and even got a little junior varsity playing time. This next season was going to be my breakout year. I knew it, so I practiced consistently. It must have been a Saturday afternoon, and like most Saturday afternoons that summer, I was in the driveway shooting free throws when my two younger twin brothers rolled up with some retired Air Force colonel. Now, they had met him in Colorado earlier that summer at a father-son adventure camp that they'd gone to with my dad. I'm not too sure what they did there. I didn't go. But my brothers and my father still whisper about it and giggle to this day. So they roll up with this guy. I shook his hand, introduced myself, and didn't think much of it. I went back to shooting free throws. A couple months later, once school started back up, somehow I started having breakfast with this guy. Weekly. He prayed for me, listened to me, encouraged me, and spoke into my life. It's funny. I swear this guy's a bit of a prophet. He said, hey, Ryan, you're going to be student body president. A year later, I was. Hey, you are going to go to the University of Tennessee. I did. He said, hey, you're going to be IFC president. It happened. Then one day he said, hey, you're going to be a fellow. And I said, a what? He responded with, you're going to be a fellow, and not just any fellow, a Falls Church fellow. You're going to go to D.C. and be around the likes of senators, generals, and Steve Skanky. And I did. And the prophecy continues to this day. 3 months ago, I got a phone call saying, hey, they should let you give a TED Talk at the Fellows Conference. Well, here I am. A fellow is a stranger that is loved, and I was first shown this by a man that's here today, Rick Coleman. You and I were once both strangers, but we are no longer. You and I also once acted like strangers to God. We are now known by both the Father and one another. By loving strangers, we are allowed to know true life. So I ask you. Thank you. 2.5 years ago, I arrived here and I met 11 strangers from Virginia, California, North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, and Pennsylvania. A year and a half ago, after a mission trip to New Jersey, a retreat to Pennsylvania, a retreat to Delaware, a second-place ultimate Frisbee finish, 2 trips to Annapolis, 2 youth group retreats, 2 seminary courses, 12 birthdays, 30 guest speakers, countless dinners, and immeasurable laughter and tears, I left with 4 brothers and 7 sisters named John, Michelle, Amy, Liz, Carver, John, Ryan, Valerie, Kate, Kristen, and Hillary, who can and have and will continue to be nothing short of family. A fellow is a brother or a sister you never knew you wanted, or perhaps wouldn't have even chosen on your own. A fellow is a deep-fried onion. On Tuesday, September 13th, 2011, I packed all of my belongings into my car, strapped my bike, strapped my bike on the back of my car, and headed north. 22 years, I said to myself. 22 years in the same town, and it's over? I was anxious and excited, scared, but ready. As I watched the skyline of my hometown fade in the rearview mirror, I felt like an early 20th century hobo boxcar rider. I had all of my possessions on my back, no home to go back to, and the train was headed just too fast for me to jump off now. However, amongst the angst, something happened on that rainy, lonely drive through the Blue Ridge Mountains. I made a radical decision, a decision that I would intentionally be vulnerable for the first sustained time in my life. C.S. Lewis in Four Loves writes, "To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give it to no one, not even an animal. Wrap it up carefully, round it with hobbies and little luxuries, and void all entanglements. Lock it up in a safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it'll change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable." Due to a much longer story that I can't really go into right now, when I arrived here, my heart was in danger of becoming the safe heart Lewis describes. But I came here with a secret weapon, a cast iron skillet. This actually is the skillet, was my welcome gift to my host family. It was a bit of a diet, let's call it a dietary hedge of my own making. I understood that I would be living with Yankees. Both of my host parents were from New York, and the thought of not being able to have fried chicken and biscuits and gravy kept me awake at night. So it was this here lodge. The model number is an SK10, in case you're wondering. It's a 12-inch cast iron skillet, and this is the only brand of cast iron skillet still proudly forged and seasoned in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee. And it is the only brand of skillet still made in America. Now, the skillet is my favorite utensil in the kitchen. You can do a lot with a skillet, both culinary and otherwise. But it must be taken care of. A cast iron skillet is heavy and strong, but it is also brittle and porous. It takes on the nature of the owner and the food they cook in it. You must be very diligent in your cleaning method and always keep it oiled and greasy. If you take care of it, oh boy, it'll take care of you. You can cook steak and eggs and fish and green beans and cornbread and cobbler. And you know what? You can even deep fry an onion. But I know you're thinking to yourself, Ryan, what does this skillet thing have to do with anything? So back to the question.
So Ryan, what is a fellow?
Thank you. I think it was because of my comical affection for this cast iron skillet that at our final retreat, one of my fellows said to me, Sowell, you are like a deep fried onion. Crusty on the outside, but juicy, sweet, and extra tender on the inside. You even stir up a few tears from time to time. During my time as a fellow, I discovered that I was and am a deep-fried onion. A simple, vulnerable, deep-fried onion. I learned not to shy away from the pain or the heat of trial, and through the process, my heart was saved from a boring, safe existence that Lewis alludes to. I would guess each of you have had these moments this year where you recognize something about yourself. I ask that you celebrate them and take a moment to remember what you have discovered, because it'll allow you to better answer the question.
So Ryan, what is a fellow?
A fellow will always be a fellow. As my fellow's year came to a close, I was quickly scrambling to find a permanent job. I applied for multiple roles here in the district. I just kept striking out. So I looked elsewhere, and eventually I landed where I am now. Dallas, Texas. The Big D, home of Big Tex, the Cowboys. Big hair and buildings that light up at night. I work for British Telecom, and guess what I still get asked at least once a week? You'll never leave this question, and it will never leave you. But I will leave you with this. The fellows are not a program, a year, or a group, but rather a holy fraternal movement swelling within the greater church. It is much bigger than any of us wholly understand on our own. It's changed lives, inspired others, and continues to lay the foundation for the future leaders of the church. We all come from different places and histories, but we leave forever a fellow. A fellow is a stranger that is loved. A fellow is a brother or a sister you never knew you wanted. A fellow is a deep-fried onion, and a fellow will always be a fellow. Thank you.